Hello everybody, Tracy Di Bartolo, Thermomix consultant. We are out of lockdown, which is awesome for us. Really sorry about some of the other parts of Australia that aren't out of lockdown, or if you're from overseas, you might be in lockdown as well. But anyway, all is good. I'm just cooking still. I think I've gotten into the habit now. So this morning I started doing a batch of tomato paste. Now with tomato paste, I decided years ago that I would start making my own rather than buying the little sachets. That's how I used to buy it. So you'd buy a pack of 4 sachets, I think, about 50 grams each, which was great because they were all portioned out. But of course they're pretty expensive, and also you don't particularly know what's in them. With the jars, I found that I would use a certain amount and then, I don't know, I wouldn't use it often enough, and so they would go to waste. Hence, I decided that I would start doing tomato paste, and I'm being really happy. So I thought I would show you. Now, it is quite a long process as such, but you don't actually have to do anything very much at all. The recipe in total will go for about 2 hours, but other than you having to put some of the ingredients, or all of the ingredients in step 1 and step 2, then you leave it for an hour, come back to it, turn the knob again, leave it for another half an hour, turn the knob for the last time, leave it for the last half an hour. So that's it. You can just have that happening in your kitchen, which is what I've done today. And about 10 minutes or so ago, it finished. Hello to anyone who's out there watching me right now. Give me a thumbs up or a love heart or whatever, so I know that you're there, because it's a bit lonely otherwise, as I keep saying, but it's so true. All right, so what you're looking for is the right consistency. And in the very last step, it does tell you that to check the consistency, and if you need to put it on for a little while longer, you can just go backwards and put it on for another 10 or 15 minutes. But this is the consistency that we're looking for. It's nice and thick. You can see how it's just settled on the lid like that. And then in the bowl itself, it's a bit hard with my lighting, but it's a nice thick sort of consistency, okay? Just like tomato paste should be. Now, with the ingredients, they're all pretty easy to find ingredients other than your fresh tomatoes. So I had a whole box that I bought a little while back, and I was just down to my last 1.5 kilos, which is perfect for this recipe. So fresh tomatoes. If you want to make yourself a batch and you don't have fresh tomatoes, I've used tin tomatoes before with great success, so that's fine. Then the recipe will tell you everything else, but really it's just a bay leaf. So just 1 or 2 of the dried bay leaves. I usually put a couple in. It also asks for some oregano leaves, and I just use the dried version of hi Claire, of oregano leaves, just a tablespoon or so of that. Then there's a little bit of sugar, a little bit of salt. So put all of those ingredients in that the recipe calls for. The extra thing that I put in, and I use this for all my tomato base, so tomato pasta sauce or tomato paste, or even a dish that I'm using like a tin of tomatoes in, I always put in a scoop, so about a tablespoon of the sweet paprika. So not the smoked one, because I find that's got too much of an overriding taste, but just the normal Hungarian sweet paprika. I find that it just gives it a little bit of an oomph without going too over the top, but it also is responsible for that beautiful dark color. All right, so then all I do, rather than put it into jars, which is what the recipe calls for, again, because I find that I just don't use enough of it, and I like it portioned out. So I've got these silicone molds. Now I've had these for years. They're from the mix shop originally, even before I became a consultant. And I think that these are still available, and there's also another set that the mold is slightly bigger, so more like a muesli bar. But what I love about silicone molds is that you can put hot or cold. You can put them in the freezer afterwards, and then once they're frozen, they just pop out, which is fantastic. And I know that each of these is about the 30 to 40 grams when I pull one out of the freezer each time I need it for a recipe. So it's just really a matter of pouring it out, which I'll show you, and I just sort of pour it out like that, and then just easy as that. So that is what you do with your tomato paste, and pop that in the freezer. Let it, I would do it overnight for sure, and then I pop them each of them out and put them into a plastic container or maybe a sturdy Ziploc bag in the freezer. And then when you need tomato paste, you know, you just pull one out. If I'm organised, I'll get one out before I start cooking and it's defrosted by the time I need it. Otherwise, I can be naughty sometimes and just zap it in the microwave for, 5 or 10 seconds or so. All right, now while I'm talking about silicone things that are available, I have got quite a bit of collection, and a friend of mine asked me some advice about silicone products. So I think the important thing that we've got to look for these days is to make sure that they're BPA free. And of course, anything that you get from the mix shop will definitely be BPA free. They're very, very conscious of that. I have got still in my cupboards, and I need to get rid of them, a whole set of these grey silicone, which I used years ago for steaming things in the Varoma, like my little sticky date puddings, etc. But they were just cheapies off of the internet, and they don't say on anywhere that they're BPA free. So I don't use these anymore for edible goods. The other things that I use, this is not so bad. Things like this just from the cheap shop, or even something like this from Kmart stores. They're very, very cheap. I don't cook with these. So I would put something in them and pop them in the freezer and then just use the cubes. So lemon juice or buttermilk or whatever it is that I'm making, ginger paste or garlic paste, something that I want to freeze and have them out in little portions afterwards. What I have got that I do recommend, so these are from the mix shop and they're called the silicone dariole molds. So they come in a set of 8, and you can see that they are perfectly designed to fit inside the Varoma. And when I do my sticky toffee puddings, which is a sticky date pudding with a gorgeous toffee sauce that goes over the top of it, this 8 of these is exactly right for what the recipe makes. So I would, if you're going to be doing stuff like that, and then obviously you put that on top of the machine and it steams it, I would probably get yourself a pack of these. They're not very expensive. I think they're less than $20, and they're worth it because they'll just last forever, and they look really beautiful when you then plate up. You just pop them out, and so the sticky date puddings just look gorgeous, and then you pour your sauce over the top. All right, so that's it from me. It was a real quick one, and I will see you whenever I do a live. If you want to ask any questions, just pop something in the chat box and I will make every attempt to get back to you. And that's it, all done. Okay, bye for now.